Hi there, everybody. It is so good to be speaking with all of you today, as always. It has definitely been a challenge to choose a topic for this speech. I've been thinking about it ever since the informative speech day. There are so many things I would love to have the honor of persuading you on, including why voting is important to do, but since we are now past Election Day, speaking about that or various other political subjects I am passionate about may not be as relevant. In keeping with my theme of disability advocacy, I'd love to consider with you the question of whether the developmental disability or difference, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, should be renamed and considered part of neurodiversity. The medical definition of ADHD has three categories or types, including inattentive, hyperactive, and impulsive. There is also a fourth type called combined, where someone may have two or more of these characteristics. Honestly, though, these medical definitions do not really come to my mind first. Rather, my first thoughts, while not necessarily the faults of my own or of any of us, are usually rooted in a stereotype of a bias, either what we would call conscious or unconscious, according to the Florida Gulf Coast University Library. And I believe that all of us most likely feel to some degree we feel bad about it. And we feel bad about it because this stereotype would say that perhaps ADHD is not real or it's not a medical condition. However, what we also know is that neither of those beliefs are true, because even people without ADHD notice when someone consistently leaves their belongings behind at school, forgets to take their vitamins or supplements, or does not remember skills that they were taught the day before. That is definitely cause for concern when these things happen over and over and over again. But the reason why we don't take these difficulties seriously, and because the reason why the stereotype exists is because of the name ADHD. Now, Dr. Russell Barkley, a neuropsychologist who is known for being an expert on ADHD, with his videos on YouTube and social media that are very popular, he has shared a list of alternative names for ADHD, including one that both he and I prefer: executive function deficit disorder. If it were up to me, I would just call it executive function disorder. But there are some who would say that that name refers to a different condition, but I'm not so sure whether there's a distinguishable difference or not, but I digress. This name, as he says, executive function deficit disorder, some would say that the words deficit and disorder both mean significant things within the field of psychology, so that may be why they're both used in the same label. But this name, as he says, includes all of the different aspects of what is called executive function, which is a term that is used to refer to tasks such as planning, organization, as well as time management, emotional regulation, and sensory stimulation. Not only does the name ADHD not very concisely acknowledge deficits in these executive functions, but it also implies that someone does not pay attention due to a lack of self-control. While this could be true in some circumstances, it is not true all of the time, particularly because, according to the National Institutes of Health, executive functions are often done unconsciously by the individual. Although Barkley agrees that a name change would help to clarify what ADHD is, he argues against it because of how the diagnosis of ADHD is used by doctors so that patients can get insurance coverage for services and so that others can ensure legal protection of those services. While attention is what regulates all of the executive functions, I would say that because a lot of executive function is unconscious according to the NIH, then there is more to the story than what the diagnosis name says. While Barkley makes a strong case in favor of the way things are currently done within our system, I and many others believe a name change is both necessary and possible. Another reason why I believe this is because the current name trivializes the previously mentioned disabling effects of ADHD, as well as the other positive benefits or differences, as we said earlier, that are less well known, including pattern recognition, in which people have the ability to solve problems and contribute creatively to the world. For ADHDers that use pattern recognition, they are what one ancient culture called, quote, those that pay attention to many things. Another content creator on social media made a video where he pretended to diagnose neurotypical people, or those without ADHD, autism, learning disabilities, or other conditions, with diagnosis labels that he made up, which alluded to how they are limited in their willingness to think outside the box. This highlights how some of ADHD's symptoms could simply just be differences, but these differences are not well appreciated because of the social norms of our society and the lack of what Dr. Wolfensberger calls valorization in social roles, or social role valorization among neurodivergent people, that because of the way in which our society after the Industrial Revolution values productivity and adhering to and completing tasks in a timely manner, that maybe this is what is ultimately disabling ADHDers outside of the typically known more medically based challenges like ADHD paralysis. While I really appreciate Dr. Barkley's methodical approach that grounds us in the commonly accepted and clearly defined definition of disability in the medical model, and how he outlines concepts in a way that is logical and chronologically done, step by step, so that this way you can really learn about ADHD in a detailed manner, in a comprehensive manner. And like when I'm done watching his videos, I really come away with a comprehensive understanding, which is great. So while I love learning from him, unfortunately, Dr. Barkley does not, at least to my knowledge, acknowledge the social model of disability or the neurodiversity paradigm in his work, since his work is primarily based in the pathology paradigm, which leads to, in my opinion, an understanding of ADHD that is fundamentally inequitable, invalidating, and quite honestly, heartbreaking for self-advocates and parents on the receiving end of his words. My hope is that Dr. Barkley would reconsider his view in order to more thoroughly see the beauty of ADHD in some cases, with its more positive and less disabling traits, and how neurodivergent people diverge from the world, from what society views as abnormal, And they diverge for one reason, and that reason is to challenge, subvert, and ultimately change the definition of normal to something that we all long for, which is the ability to say no to the ways of the world so that we can simply be ourselves and celebrate each other for who we are and what we are able to contribute to the world. So I want to leave you with this. For those of you who bravely live in a way that others consider abnormal, for those of you that pay close attention to people, ideas, and concepts that are often overlooked and separated, and for those of you who have been told that this is a deficit, quote unquote, for those of you that are considered overly optimistic and are told that this is a form of emotional dysregulation, for those of you who are keenly perceptive when you sense that someone needs a friend, or that an inequity needs to be fixed, or that something that exists in the world can simply just be made better, and others label that a strong sense of justice. For those of you who can deeply feel the chaos of this world, and as a result, you seek to avoid that sensory overstimulation so that you can feel regulation as a sense of justice that is internal within you and your heart. For those of you who find this world hard to live in, I want you to know that all of these feelings are so valid, and the way that your brain works is beautiful, even if you may not always feel like it. And I want to encourage you by saying that your highly valued social role in this world is to continue living in a way that feels true to you and who you are, so that this way you can encourage people along the way, including our friend Dr. Russell Barkley, to be their full selves. Even if people would prefer to continually see ADHD in the context of the medical or pathology models, you will have the peace of knowing that you lived a full, boundless, and most importantly, a life that is authentic. So I want to thank you all for your time today. I really appreciate each of you so much, and I want you to know that the way that as the ancients would say, that you pay attention to many things, including the thing that you're supposed to be paying attention to. And I want you to know that is not a deficit. That is something dynamic and something glorious. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and thank you so much.